Hey, so it's Josh McEwen here with episode 17 of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, where we bring your community to you by letting you know what's available in the area while highlighting the advantages of shopping local. And this week we are joined by Ryan Hancock of the Campfire Poets. I think most of you already know them, but for those of you who don't, the Campfire Poets are a cover band based in Dufferin that are a big part of our community. The Campfire Poets have been together for over 20 years and are composed of full-time professional musicians. The entertainment industry is a difficult one to succeed in, so I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk with someone who has managed to do that in the real world, as this is proof you can do what you love if you have the work ethic, the right intentions, and the business sense to back it up. The Campfire Poets play a wide variety of music at venues ranging from bars and weddings to corporate events and festivals. They can pretty much handle any situation, as the equipment and the size of the band will adapt to whatever the clients require. The Campfire Poets have even put together a benefit for Sick Kids Hospital, this year taking place Easter Sunday at the Orangeville Agricultural Center, which will be a great day full of food and activities for the entire family, followed by a night full of live bands and even more food. So be sure to listen in for more details regarding this awesome event that is taking place in our community. On top of all the other things we discuss. We cover a lot, so our discussion will be split up into two parts, so be sure to check back next week for part 2. Thank you, Ryan, for your time and for letting us use your studio to record and your help with editing this episode. It is very much appreciated. Thank you to the audience for listening, and hope you enjoyed this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. All right, so it's Josh McEwen here with Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and today I'm joined by Ryan Hancock of the Campfire Poets. Hey, Ryan, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
Awesome, thank you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. So can you just please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I live in Orangeville. I have a family. I have a wife and 2 children who are 8 and 5. I grew up in Brampton, but moved to this area, Caledon and Orangeville, about 20 years ago now, I guess. And I'm a full-time musician and music producer, I guess you'd say.
Awesome.
Kind of part-time music producer. I'd like to be doing it more, but getting there.
You've made quite a name for yourself in the last 20 years. Pretty much everyone knows about the Campfire Poets. For those who don't already know, who are the Campfire Poets?
The Campfire Poets are a show band, a cover band that specializes in kind of like private events and corporate functions and larger things. We start as a 2-piece and we go up to a 7 or 8-piece these days. And this is our 20th year, actually.
Wow.
And which kind of makes me feel a little old, but that's okay. And so this is year 20. I'm about 18 and a half of those. Cool. But Jeff, my business partner, he's been here since the beginning. And we play, I think these days we're pushing at about 150, 160 shows a year.
Wow.
We have done up to about 200. And that gets a little much after a while. 200 shows is a lot.
Yeah.
So 150 is good. We're good with that.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot to manage. And never mind if you're bringing in other members as well. Like if you have up to 7 or 8 members, like that can be a lot to coordinate as well.
Yeah, we have. It starts with Jeff and I, and then we have a core of Steve Battenchuk, Scott Bruyere, and Dennis Hahn, who are drums, bass, and keys. They're our like core main other 3 Campfire Poets, and then we have like 3 different violinists. We have 2 other different guitar players. We have some horn players on tap, and
cool. Just
people that we can bring in to suit the nature of the event.
Well, it allows you to accommodate all different kinds of things, right? Especially if you have a wide talent pool to draw from. That makes it a great thing. And you can get the Campfire Poets to host a variety of different events, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So what are your most popular products or services?
The most popular for us, I'd say 65 to 70% of our shows are probably the duo and then trio, because we can provide a big sound and a lot of fun, but we can come in and do things that a full band couldn't do, because Jeff has this custom drum that he built that sounds like a lot more than it is. Everybody thinks it's this crazy digital invention and stuff, but it's just an acoustic drum with a microphone in it, but it's the way he's got it built and the way he plays it. It makes it for a very unique sound, but it's a big sound, so we can provide what a band would provide with 4 or 5 pieces, but we take up the space of 2 or 3, and it's a lot easier for us to do. We can do it in a house, we can do it in a smaller place, we can pretty much do it anywhere.
Wow.
And then we have the bigger bands, which are more popular for weddings and the larger functions. So the live performances are probably our most hired thing. Like, I do quite a bit of recording too, but I do more performing live than I do studio stuff.
Awesome. And that's that's how you've gotten such a good name for yourself across the county and other places too, is the live performances.
Yeah, we've been doing that for, as I said, this is year 20. So we started off playing pubs like every other band. And, once we got the 4-piece going for a while there, we traveled a lot. So we'd be, upwards of 6 hours north. We toured the East Coast. We did a bunch of stuff. And you just play. And that's when it comes down to getting like your best sound and the show together, it develops. The best way to do it is naturally. One of the biggest things that Jeff always says is that he started this band mainly so that he didn't have to rehearse. We rehearsed a little bit when we first got going, and then we just decided to, instead of rehearsing every week or two times a week, we would just play 2 to 3 times a week.
Makes sense.
And you play, we didn't always play the nicest places, but we played a lot. And there's just something you can do. You learn from playing in front of a bunch of different people, or very few people, depending on where you're playing.
Yeah.
That you just don't get from rehearsing it. And the spontaneity kind of takes over, and you roll with the punches. You goof up, you mess up, and fun things come out of it. And after 20 years, a lot of those things have now become our show. This is what people expect. They know that certain things are coming, and we try and surprise people all the time too.
Yeah.
And we keep it loose.
Well, you know better than most, like, every crowd's different. And I mean, how to manage a crowd's a big part of what you guys do, I think, right?
Like, that's our number one draw, I think, is our interaction. We have fun with people. And the duo and trio are really good for that. Yeah. Because we're not on a big stage, we're not in the thing, but we're not so loud because our stage volume is very small, right? Because our drum it's only acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, we use a lot of in-ear monitors. Okay. So we don't have big stage volume at all. It's all coming out of the speakers. But people are able to get up pretty close to us, sometimes too close. Our dental plan doesn't cover a lot, but we like to be able to, because we can talk to people, we have eye contact, we can joke and we can laugh, and we'll take almost any request. I've definitely sang an ABBA or a Spice Girls tune before.
Awesome.
Yeah, not with the right words, but it's about having fun, and that interaction is what draws people to us.
Well, exactly. Like, you could rehearse all the time, but if you aren't in front of a crowd, and that's really what everyone aims to be as a musician, is in front of a crowd a lot of the time, you're not truly ready.
No.
So I mean, that makes complete sense. And then when you throw in your own unique things, like with Jeff with the drums, and then with your knowledge with the audio equipment, like, so everyone knows, we're using Ryan's equipment today. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
It's so great. So, I mean, like, everyone brings their own different thing. And never mind, like, when you're both on the same page, it's like, okay, it's more important to be in front of a crowd performing, and then actually learning how to interact with the crowd, and that's actually how we're getting most of our business. That's the way you should do it, versus, again, just practicing maybe the same 3 or 4 songs over and over again, and not knowing how to deal with requests.
Yeah, and that I always found that, I've been in other bands in the past, and all the way from high school and stuff, and everybody in this band has been involved with other bands, that you get so stuck on trying to make a song perfect that you end up rehearsing, like, as you said, the same song 40, 50, 60 times. You've lost your love of the tune before you even play a note live.
Yeah, 100%. I could see that.
You learn so much more just from doing, right? And now, that being said, we understand that we're lucky that we play as much shows as we do.
Well, it's a lot of shows. That's amazing.
And there are lots of bands that don't get that chance.
Yeah.
So we've gotten lucky in that, we've played for the right people, and that we get as much work as we do, but we're also just persistent, right? Like, we've been doing not the same show, because that's also a way to kill your band, is by not changing anything. But we've stuck with the formula with what we do for going on 20 years now, and you just have to be persistent. I definitely wasn't making a living doing this 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I wasn't even really making a living this 10 years ago. It takes a while to break into the kind of next level shows and stuff, your festivals, things, your corporate work, your private stuff, weddings. And a wedding is like, the money in a wedding is good, but the reason they charge so much is that it's a long day.
Yes.
Right? Like, we've had weddings where, not including driving, which can be up to 2 to 3 hours, you're looking at like 14, 15, 16-hour days.
Wow.
And it's because you're there before almost anybody's there to set up, because you can't be bringing in equipment while people are there. You can't be sound checking. And we make sure that while we have lots of fun and enjoy ourselves while we're playing, and we're loosey-goosey and relaxed, we spend a lot of time making sure that the sound in the room is as good as it could possibly be, and that the stage looks as good as it possibly can be, because that's part of it. when people walk into a room and they see the stage, the first thing you want them to do is say, wow,
Yeah.
this looks great, especially at a wedding, because then it looks better on the bride and groom.
Yeah.
But if you only haphazardly set up some lights and there's cable run everywhere, and then you go to play your first note and something either feeds back or there's a weird note, then that's bad. That's your very first impression you have, is that very first note you play.
Yeah. And I mean, with weddings, everyone's trying to go for a certain experience, right? And I mean, there are weddings where they're more lax with things, but there are some where they really want everything to go to the point, right? Like they really want everything to go on schedule, and they have, a certain environment, a certain thing they're going for. And I mean, you guys are accommodating, say, the most high maintenance person out there.
Yep.
Which is great. I mean, because we've all been there where we have seen people setting up, and it's not the end of the world, but it's a different experience than if you walk into something and it's all ready. Because I mean, the wedding's the show. It's not a concert, right? Like, so I mean, again, like the fact that you guys are putting in that extra work and making sure it is great experience for your clients says a lot, and I think that contributes to some of your success.
Well, and that's the thing, we don't even do that whole lot of advertising. We have our websites and Facebook and Instagram that I'm really bad at keeping up with.
Me too.
Because our number one advertising is playing.
Yeah.
You play the wedding, you play well at the wedding, and all of a sudden there's either another wedding out of it or something else, a party, a private thing, a corporate function.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do for yourself as a musician in a band is to play well, because you will get more work, and that just keeps continuing. And you can advertise all you want, but as you said, it's funny, you said there's only 365 days in a year.
Yeah.
But there's only 52 weekends. And that is where the majority of a working band like us make your money, is your Fridays, your Saturdays. There's work on Thursdays, and corporate work can be on weird days, your Mondays, Tuesdays, and stuff like that. But there's only a few bands in Ontario that kind of locked into that, doing nothing but corporate. Yeah. And they've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you don't have nonstop corporate work, then you have to make sure you're working every Friday, every Saturday. And we've definitely cut back on how many like bars and pubs and stuff we play. Yeah. Mainly because we've just kind of gotten older, and our patience level for certain things has gone down a little bit. But it's because the money is just not there, and it's understandable. But we do need to play those places still, because that is our advertising. You can't really invite a potential bride and groom that's going to hire you to another bride and groom's wedding. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's all these events that you play are generally private events. So you play to the people that are there, which are great. But if you're looking for prospective new clients, you need those public rooms. Exactly. And part of the job is not only are you playing, but afterwards you're not just sitting in a corner and hiding. You have to be, schmoozing a little bit, which you don't always want to do. So sometimes you're just tired and you want to go hide for a few minutes. Yeah. But then you're not working. So you have to work hard.
And there's a lot of different aspects to it. Like, because I mean, I know you told me this when we first spoke, but I mean, I never thought about it that way. Like, when you go to a live establishment, you are kind of advertising.
100%.
I mean, that makes complete sense. And again, even if it isn't the most profitable thing in the world, it helps lead to bigger business.
And I mean, you got some of the outdoor events that we play, like for towns or for organizations where it's a public thing. Those are great, but it's funny how, you might be playing on a big stage and have a large crowd, but there might be a lot going on, so you're not the main focus. The sound may not be great. Ideally, we like to make sure we control our own, because we know how to mix it well, and we have crew that we can hire to bring out to come to do that. Okay, makes sense. Wow. But it's also nice sometimes just to show up and just plug in a few of your things. But when it comes to like advertising, I've seen a lot of bands sink like serious money into video. It looks great. Yeah. They'll do it on a sound stage and they'll play, and the lighting looks fantastic and they're all dolled up and they sound awesome and they look great. But first of all, it's expensive. Yeah. B, it doesn't always translate to how you play live. Even like our videos, we have yet to really sink a bunch of money into live promo in that regard. There's a bunch of videos of us on YouTube and stuff, but the sound is not always good because it's a phone or it's this or that, or sometimes just the sound isn't that great. But what mainly is always, I find, is missing for most of the shots is the interaction with the crowd. It's how we're having fun. Yeah. My favorite couple of videos we have are from like a Rib Fest in Orangeville, which is one of our favorite shows we do every year. And there's some shots that we took from the stage that shows the crowd. Yeah. And it's like that shot there could do more for you than showing the band playing the song, because it shows you that there's like, oh, look, 4,000 people are singing along. That right there is your best thing you could possibly have. Because it shows you, you're doing your job. You're having fun. And trying to reach those people in the back to get them involved is hard, right? So if you can succeed in that, then that shows that you're having fun.
Exactly.
And if it looks like you're having fun on stage, everybody else is going to start having fun.
100%. I mean, when you're able to get everyone involved like that too, that is the primary objective. I mean, I think from your perspective, that's great for everyone involved because again, you get lost in the crowd and you're having fun. Like it's great. It's great. I mean, everyone can enjoy that, especially when it's good music, especially like yours. I mean, and when you have a variety of different music as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly not ours.
Sorry,
but no, I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. I'm saying it's we try and cover a little bit of everything, right? We try and cover as many genres as we can that suit our voices. I don't know how much modern hip hop or dance is going to come out of us because I've seen bands, older bands, like some of us in the band aren't even that old, but I've seen bands of like 40, 50, 60-year-olds doing really modern music. And it's not a good look.
It wouldn't look good if I was doing it. So.
No, it's just generally you got to do what suits your age group, your bracket, and your level. I'm not going to go out there and rap. It's just
me neither.
That being said, I'm pretty sure I have, but we ignore that. It's you have to do what suits you, and so we do play a lot of 70s and 80s and 90s, either rock or dance, pop. Everything's pop, but it's stuff that we know that's going to make people dance, and make people sing along and have a good time. And, there's always these running jokes in our business about, how many times you've played Brown Eyed Girl, Sweet Home Alabama, Mustang Sally, and now Wagon Wheel. Wagon Wheel's like the new butt of all jokes. It's like, there's places that say, all the signs that say $10 for Wagon Wheel or something like that. There's a great venue, one of our favorite venues in the area, the Bush Home in Erin.
Okay.
That, a fantastic live music venue. But he's got a jar in there. It's like an urn. And it says, Mustang Sally, because it's like it's banned from the place. Now, granted, he has a lot of blues bands and stuff going there.
Okay.
And that's like a taboo song for the real blues listeners. You know what I mean? Mustang Sally is the devil. But we'll play it because that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
We won't play it there necessarily, but we'll play, although we have, just to see the reaction. But we play music for us, but we play music as an entertainment vessel, a way of making people happy, and having fun with them. And again, I'll play Brown Eyed Girl 1,000 more times. I don't care. I actually still kind of like the song, but occasionally you take a night off from a certain song or something like that. But it's as long as you're having fun with it. Yeah. And we don't worry about playing every song to the letter, to the things. We do goofy stuff. We mix up the vocals. It's these tunes. Medleys. We love doing medleys that don't make any sense whatsoever. Like two songs that just should not be put together. But I'm like, And it always happens by accident. And then if it works, it's like, well, that's going in the set now.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you have fun with it, right? And the group of guys we have, the core members especially, they just enjoy it so much that it makes our job good. It makes our job fun and pleasurable. It's fun just to play these chords and these notes with these people because they're having fun. Yeah. Nobody's in their head. Nobody's thinking, I should be doing something more meaningful with my. It's like, man, you're getting to play music. Yeah. So no, I've never once complained really about playing the same type of songs. There are certain songs we play almost every show, but it's like it's all good. I get to play music and I love it. So
yeah, I mean, not all of us are so lucky. So I mean, that's great, especially when you get to do it possibly 200 days a year. I mean, again, that's a little much, but 150.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at what the average person probably works 5 days a week, 30 to 40 hours a week. Some people work a lot more than that. Yeah. But even though some nights you're only working like 4 or 5 hours total, you put out a lot when you're doing that. And then some of these shows you're putting out when we do Rib Fest, the guys who run the sound there for Music 21, they always get a kick out of it because they're like, how long are you playing for this year? And last year we got unfortunately rained out, which that was a trip. We knew there was raining. Yeah. We didn't realize there was like Armageddon type storm behind us because there was a roof over the stage. So the whole crowd in front of us were all like drenched and starting to run for the hills. And there's still like 1,000 people out there jumping around being idiots and loving it. And then it wasn't until they finally told us through the monitors and cut the lights that they were like, we got to go, guys. And all of a sudden we were like, oh, there's like a hurricane around us right now. So glad I'm on this metal stage. But we've done shows there where we've played for 3 hours and 20 minutes without a stop, right? Like you just play. Now,
Wow.
guys like Springsteen do that every show, but that guy's a freak, right?
Yeah.
And you don't always want to play that long without a break, but when you're really into it, you don't want to stop because that momentum goes away.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, when you're on a roll, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
But once you stop that show afterwards, and then you got to start, we're not rock stars. We still got to put our stuff away. It's like the last thing you want to do is lift an amp. But the worst ones are when you're setting up a large sound system for a big crowd and doing everything. So you're there hours before setting it all up. You do your show, and then when everybody's done, and normally it's like a top band would be like, yeah, let's go back and just chill, have a drink, and let everybody else tear it down. It's like,
Yeah.
no. It's like, no, you're coming down from this big high of playing this great show. And it's like, great, now I got to wrap about 300 cables.
Yeah. Let me talk to the crowd a little bit more. Hopefully that goes away, but it never does.
No. It's like, it's always the fun part of loading a bunch of stuff into a van at 3:30 in the morning. But
That'd be rough.
yeah, there are a lot harder jobs though.
Hey everyone, this is our first commercial break. We're new, so we'll just take this time to let you know more about what Dufferin Spotlight on Business is all about, which is a weekly show that features discussions from business leaders from around Dufferin County regarding their businesses and accomplishments. The achievements of small business owners largely go unnoticed, but it is our goal to recognize them, as these are the people who keep small communities like ours alive. In addition to this, we will highlight the advantages of shopping local. So be sure to check back each week to see the amazing things people are doing through their businesses. To learn more about what we do and other shows that we will be producing, be sure to check out dufferinspotlight.ca. Now I hope you enjoy the rest of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. So are you working on any major projects or jobs?
Yeah, we got a few things on the go, but my biggest thing right now is probably last year I started up this concert for sick kids, which went really well. We had 3 bands involved, and we had a bunch of volunteers, and we ended up doing it at a club in Orangeville, which has changed names about 3 times now since, but it was the Stomping Ground 2.0 when we played there. And we packed the place and it was great. And we raised, after expenses and stuff, because all the bands volunteered their time. Almost everybody was volunteering their time. So we kept our costs pretty low. And we raised $6,000 that we gave right to sick kids.
Awesome.
Which was really good and really happy. And it's a cause that, while I keep saying this, but I've been lucky enough not to have to use their services, either myself or with my children.
Yeah.
But me and my wife have a few godchildren, and almost all of them have been there. We got cousins and really good friends of ours, their children, and then just friends of ours who are adults that used it. And to me, it's like it's a cause that you can't throw a penny out in the street and not hit somebody who's been affected by it.
100%.
If you haven't, somebody has.
Yeah.
And I remember last year when I thought about doing it, I just kind of threw it out into the ether. I threw it out on Facebook, and I just said, hey, I have this idea, doing this concert. All the money goes to sick kids. Would that be something anybody can get behind? I did that and went to bed. I woke up the next day and there was like 150 notifications of people just all over it. And I was like, so
awesome.
So this is happening. So last year was a success, but last year even we wanted to do it bigger, but we just couldn't make the venues or the timing work. So this year we are going to do it at the Agricultural Center.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the Orangeville Agricultural Society, just outside of Orangeville. It's on April 11th, so it's Easter Saturday.
Cool.
And we're starting at 2:00 in the afternoon, going till about 1:30 when everybody has to start getting out.
Yeah.
But from 2 to 5, we're working with a company based out of Erin called AAA Events, and we're putting together a kids fest. So it's going to be mascots. The Easter Bunny is going to be there. We'll probably have children's performers going on, face painting, a climbing wall, a bouncy castle, a big Easter egg hunt. And it's going to be kind of based off just donations. Come in, donate something, put it in the basket, and then let the kids have fun for a few hours. There'll also be a coffee truck and a food truck on hand for anybody to have lunch or whatever.
Wow.
And again, everything we raise from that just goes straight to sick kids. And then 5:30, the bar will open inside. Well, it's all going to be inside, but the bar will open. And we'll have our first band play, and we have music playing pretty much nonstop from 5:30, 6 o'clock to just after 1.
Wow.
And, right now we have 6. I'm trying to work on getting one more in. Scheduling wise, it's tough because I want to make sure that everybody has a good crowd to play to. So hopefully people come out early.
Yeah.
So that first couple acts aren't playing to a mostly empty room. It's a big room, the
Yeah.
Ag Center. But we have, Music 21 is generously donating a lot of stuff for us. So we're going to have a nice stage in there. We're going to have a video board, great sound, great lighting. Jeff will be involved too. I'm a business partner. He has a bunch of stuff. So between the two of them, We're going to make the place look great, sound great. The main bands are Itchy and Scratchy out of the area, who helped last year. Us, the Campfire Poets, Soul Collective, Sarah Rose, Stan Chang, and the Frank Adriano Quartet. And Frank is a teacher out of Caledon East at Robert F. Hall.
Cool.
Everybody's been touched in one way by the organization, and everybody's volunteering their time. And yeah, we got a bunch of sponsors coming in. You can check it if you go to thecampfirepoets.com and click on Concert for Sick Kids. There's a page that's almost done, but most of the information you need right now is there on the different sponsorship packages you can put together where you get a lot of perks. Tickets are $40 for general admission to the concert, or $100 gets you a dinner catered by the Hatter in Orangeville, and a drink ticket and a seat at a table. We'll have at least 400 seats. To guarantee a seat, you need to buy a dinner ticket, and you can order a table. I've already sold 2 tables, possibly 5. And so once the tables are gone, I'll see if I can bring more in, but there's going to be a lot of standing room too. And, we're hoping to get 600, 700 people out. Yeah, because we want to double or triple. We got a big silent auction table. We're always looking for more items. Every dime, once we pay for the costs, which are a bit larger this year, but once the costs are paid for, every other dime is going to sick kids, including the Hatter is donating, you pay for their food and they're donating the rest. So so much support for it, and really looking forward to the show. I really can't wait to make this go.
I can understand why. It's amazing. Wow.
I might be sinking a little too much time into it personally, but only because I want it to be good. But I want to just keep kind of growing it. So it'll be good.
We're so lucky. Wow, man. Seriously, that's we don't have cool things that happen like that very often in our community. There's a lot of stuff, but we always need more. And something like this that actually benefits a great cause, one that, again, like you said, pretty much everyone has a connection to. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. That's so awesome. And again, a place where everyone can have a good time, have fun, and see live music. Mm-hmm. And a variety. And for an entire night, I don't go very often, but when I think about events, they usually don't go on until after midnight around here.
Or they start later and go.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can't get the kids out or something like that. So, that's awesome. Again, this is something that everyone could enjoy.
Mm-hmm. And we can't wait. We'll do some more promo for it as it gets closer. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And assuming it goes well, it'll happen annually. This will be second annual, and I'll just keep doing it until either I can't, or we'll make it bigger until it doesn't get any more bigger.
Awesome. That's amazing. Hi everyone, Josh here with another commercial break. So now that you know what the show is all about, let me tell you more about what our mission is with Dufferin Spotlight as a whole. We are looking to cover issues that do not get enough attention by the public, in non-divisive ways, with the hope of increasing awareness and moving discussions forward. And in addition to this, with our content, we also aim to support those affected or are trying to solve these issues. There are a lot of issues we'd like to cover, which means a lot of shows. We already have a new show slated for this year, this one completely unrelated to business, but still involves the people of Dufferin. We've got a lot on the go, so be sure to follow Dufferin Spotlight on Facebook to keep up with the latest news. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. So how many people do you employ today?
Full-time is me and Jeff. This is pretty much what we do. Jeff has a small sound company that he does some stuff, and I have the little studio here. But yeah, the 2 main full-time guys are me and Jeff, and then we have our 3 core guys, and then probably close to 20 different people that we've worked with currently.
Wow.
We have, other past members and stuff like that. But currently, I think a few of them are only, once or twice a year. But yeah, we like to work with a few different extra people. And not, sometimes the thing about when you get into larger groups is that sometimes one guy just can't do it.
Yep.
It's sometimes the scheduling, life gets in the way, and you need to kind of have a backup for everybody. And actually, one of the good things is that this band is full of multi-instrumentalists. So we've had shows where somebody's gotten sick right before the show. We've had shows where we've had somebody get sick right at the show or get injured at the show. Things happen. We do a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And we've always surprised people just by being able to complete the show, just because, as long as a couple of us are still going, but almost everybody can play at least one other instrument in the band.
Wow.
So it's good that way. And it's good to have backup people that I'll just look down the schedule and see who's available. And it all depends on just availability or special requests. If, we play a show where somebody sees one fiddle player play, they'll say, can we get that guy?
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, sure. If I can make it work, I'll make it work. And all the guys that we hire, a good chunk of them are kind of like working musicians. So they play with a variety of different people. So sometimes they're booked already. But, I have bookings for 2021 right now. And I have a couple of shows that are like, pretty much an annual until they get sick of us, which we're always surprised if, you play something 3 years in a row. I'm never surprised if someone says, next year I think we're going to mix it up. Because again, we like to learn a bunch of new songs, but there's only so much you can change.
Yeah.
So it always surprises me. It's like, you want us again for year 5, year 6? It's like, well, we'll do it.
So with the musicians like that work with a variety of different bands, like that must be pretty difficult to manage. I mean, everyone has their different styles and all that. I mean, I would think it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes I'll base the booking off of I'll call a certain person first because I know that they will suit it. And some of them are multi-instrumentalists themselves as well too. So it's if I need something that has, say, a violin and a mandolin or acoustic guitar, then I know there are certain people that I'll call first because it'll suit it. Or if we need somebody who sings, say one of our main guys like Steve, because we in the 5-piece band, 4 of us can sing.
Cool.
Well, actually, our drummer's a fantastic singer too. He just doesn't. So, we like to have 3-4 part harmony going on a lot. And that's one of our biggest draws is lots of harmony. And because we all can sing, but we know how to blend the harmonies well, it sounds nice.
Yeah.
So if we're playing a show and one of our main guys, say a Steve or a Dennis, a keyboard player, bass player, can't make it out, and then I have to replace them, preferably with somebody who can sing as well.
Yeah.
So that they can replace those harmony parts that are missing.
Ooh.
So little logistics like that. And then it also just has to come down to stage size. If there's only a finite amount of space where it's like, yeah, this is the size of a built-in stage and can't exceed this, then it's like, okay, well then we can't exceed this band size because you have to, it's not so much about, not being too close to each other. We don't need a huge space, but we need a minimum amount of space to set up the sound safely and set up the lighting so that it actually lights people up properly.
Yeah.
If you get too close, all of a sudden we just have like these hard spotlights on people's faces and a bunch of dark spots. And it's like, we want to make sure it's good. We want to make sure it's safe, and we want to make sure it looks great.
Yeah.
So you need a certain amount of space for each thing. So if a place only can, fit a certain size, then it's like, okay, well then here's your options. We can't go too big if you don't have the space. Even if there's a budget, we just can't fit a certain amount of people in a certain area.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot to manage. I mean, with setting everything up and the lighting and everything, like I don't have a deep background in music, so I mean, I don't think about it, but it's just amazing how much goes into it. Like, I mean, people take it for granted, I think, all that goes into it.
We always laugh when we'll have these big, huge setups to go through, and then somebody will say, like, what do you need, like an hour? And it's like, well, no.
Yeah.
Just carrying the stuff from the van to the stage is going to take us an hour sometimes. So it's like, no, we need like 3 hours, 3.5 hours to do this right. And they're like, well, we don't care if you sound check during the thing. Well, it's like, well, you don't, your guests do, and we do.
Yeah.
Like, that's not professional. That's not how you do things. You don't want to hear a bunch of people going, check, check, 1, 2, sits, all this annoying stuff. And we do other things where we have equipment that'll check for bad frequencies in the room and stuff like that, which is great, except for if you have to be in the room while it's going on, because it's some of the most horrendous noise you've ever heard. And it's like, we can't do it if there's even a couple of people in the room that aren't with us, because it's just extremely loud and horrible. But we do that so that none of that happens during the show.
Cool. I mean, again, that's a lot. I mean, it says a lot that you put all that thought into it, though. Because, I mean, I imagine there are some that don't go to that same degree. Like,
oh, there's plenty. Now, granted, we've developed this over the years. So, again, this is year 20. We do things now that we never would have done before, but you learn from it, right?
Makes sense.
And you try and always improve it. And good sound and nice lighting go such a long way when it comes to a show. Because, I've seen some fantastic bands that just sound so bad, and it has nothing to do with their playing. Playing there's a lot to it. A good quality musicians, they do a lot, but they also do a lot mainly because they usually have their sound in order. They're not too loud. They're letting the equipment do the job. But I've also seen really good bands with very good players where people are leaving and it has nothing to do with the music. It's too loud, or I can't hear the vocals. And if you can't hear the vocals, why are you there? Because you can be Eddie Van Halen, but if you're playing Brown Eyed Girl and they can't hear you say the words Brown Eyed Girl,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. You don't need to be Van Halen to do what we do, but you need to be able to hear what we're doing.
Exactly.
It's very important.
Vocals are extremely important, especially like you said, for a live performance. I mean, because there are some where the vocals do get drowned out.
Oh, yeah. And if people don't think it's the most important part for live music in this regard.
It's easy to drown them out. We've all heard music like that. So where do you think most of your competition comes from?
There are bands that have been going for 30, 35 years. And there are certain bands that just have certain areas kind of locked down, this niche down of these corporate shows that there are starting to age out now a bit. I don't need to mention names necessarily, but just there are other acts that they've just been doing it a long time. And there are bands who are just flat out very, very good. And some bands offer us similar what we do. Other bands there's more modern sounding bands that cater to that side. And, for shows that need that, we're not going to be able to compete because, again, as I said before, or a band that's not going to come out and play Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
Not because I don't think they're, some of those songs are fun. We just won't sound very good doing it. And there's no point in playing something if you're not going to, excel at it. You don't have to play it perfectly, but if it sounds like you're doing it just to try and get through the song, people are going to know that. And so our competition comes from that. And as I said, though, we can't work much more than we are right now. So as far as that, it's just the quality. It's just getting some more of these corporate things and stuff like that, which sometimes it just takes time. As I said, I've had it told to me from clients before that, we saw you at this place and, we wanted to get you in last year, but we've had a contract with this other band and they do a great job. But sometimes these bands really aren't updating their show at all. So it gets tired. And as I said, I'm always surprised if we get hired back more than 2-3 years in a row. And it has nothing to do with enjoying it. It's just that, we only change so much. We do change, and and the fact it's our interactions, as I said before, that keep it loose, that keep it fun. So some bands, the competition that we have, they just have they have their foot in those doors, and if they keep getting hired back, they're just going to keep taking it, right? So that's it. And I mean, there are, as far as some of the bigger concert shows like outdoor stuff, there's tribute bands are still big. And they seem to be making a bit of a resurgence too. It's bands that like specifically play one artist or one genre type show. And again, there's some very good tribute bands out there.
Yeah.
There's some very bad ones too.
Yeah.
But because they're willing to do to dress up like the people, to imitate them, to imitate their voice, to imitate their moves, and really bring that experience to people, some people just really like that. And some of these big outdoor festivals, they just seem to gravitate towards that, even though it doesn't always pan out. I've seen it flop on their face, and I know what they're paying. And tribute bands don't work cheap.
No.
If you're gonna devote half your life to becoming another person, you better be charging for it. And they do. And we won't be able to compete if somebody wants to hear a Bruce Springsteen tribute. If they want to hear nothing but Bruce Springsteen, they're going to hire a Springsteen band. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like our competition. And we don't really have much competition as far as like the duo for what we do because it's a very unique sound. And that's why we were able to do this. If we were only doing the band, then we'd probably have to have some sort of part-time job or something because while we do get some great shows, you can only work a certain amount.
Yeah.
Which is why we started the duo in the first place. And also competition is good.
Yeah, it is. It's a great thing.
It keeps the options open.
So what do you think makes you different from the competition?
What makes us different? I mean, the easy answer is the duo makes it very different because we both sing and we're both capable of carrying a show. But Jeff and I really interact together well.
Yeah.
We play off each other and we develop enough of I'd say a blind chemistry, an easy. We know where each other's going, even if we don't.
Yeah.
And you can roll with the punches, and it's great. And because of his drum makes things extremely unique and almost the drum is one of a kind. Well, I guess he has a couple different ones, so one of 3, but they're all his. Yeah, it makes us different. And the fact that we're willing to play just about everything and willing to play songs we don't know and be the butt of a joke or show that, we don't know this. We're doing it because you want to hear it. Here's a thing we always, not always say, but when somebody asks for a weird request, we'll give them our 3 basic rules. And our 3 basic rules are this. If you request a song and we know how to play it, we'll play it for you, no questions asked.
Yeah.
Rule 2 is if you request a song and we kind of know how to play it, we'll fake it for you, no questions asked. But the third rule is always, if you request a song and we have absolutely no idea how to play it or what it is, we're going to ruin the song for you for the rest of your lives. We're not too afraid of doing anything. The only one we always say no to is like American Pie because we don't have enough brain cells to memorize like 11 verses or whatever that song is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what makes us unique in that regard. And the band is, again, we have fun. We don't take ourselves seriously. We have guys like in the band like Steve, who, is one of my good friends, and he's just such a hoot. He's such a fun guy. He has fun. He makes mistakes, and it's part of the show. You know what I mean? It becomes part of the show. He'll throw his bass over somebody's, there'll be a woman dancing near the stage, and he'll sneak up behind her, put the bass over her, and she can play. Stuff like that, it makes people feel like they're involved with the show.
Yeah.
Right? And it also has fun. We're not worried about necessarily making some mistakes. I do it all the time. I've been playing some of these songs for 20 years, and I still screw them up sometimes. But we don't care. It's about having fun.
Yeah.
A note mistake is there, and it's gone. When you're recording in a studio, it's different. If it's there, you got to fix it. Otherwise, it's there forever. Live, it's a moment. It's there. It's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so you don't worry about that kind of stuff. But if you're boring or you're grumpy, you're having a bad day, you can't let that out on stage.
Yeah.
That people notice, and that's what sticks around. Not the 15th note in your third solo you played. It's the time you just didn't try and engage them.
Hi everyone, this is Josh here with a third commercial break. So now that you know about the show and the overall mission of Dufferin Spotlight, you're probably asking yourself how we're going to pay for it all. We will provide advertising opportunities to interested parties, primarily local businesses, so they can reach people just like you. We prefer working with small local businesses, as that's what we are, and it stops us from getting too reliant on big corporations who already have enough influence over the media landscape. If you are an organization who is interested in working with Dufferin Spotlight to promote your products or services, please reach out to us through our website, dufferinspotlight.ca, so we can bring your community to you. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business. For those tribute bands, it's got to be harder for them to compete with you, I'd think. You're able to do so much more variety, have more fun with it, I think, and again, more interaction with the crowds versus a tribute band where I think you're stuck in a lot more of a regimen.
There's a time and a place for tribute bands.
Yeah.
And again, some of them are really, really good, and it's very impressive. But yeah, when it'll throw off your whole show if you change one little thing, or you can't have fun with something like that. And I'm sure some of them lots to do have fun. But I do think that is a bonus to us.
Yeah.
And to bands like us.
Yeah.
Because again, we're not the only band that does what we do. There's lots of bands, and there's lots of good bands. But what makes us successful in that regard and what makes us different is the fact that we just try and engage the audience, have fun. Some of the songs we play relatively close to the originals. Some are left field different. But we have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
And there are times where we've played versions of songs and then people request us we play that version. We've done a reggae AC/DC. We've done jazz Bob Marley. It's you have fun with it, right? You just mess around.
So do you find that there's as many places offering live entertainment as there used to be?
No. Because we have the duo, we can still work almost as much as we want.
Awesome.
That being said, even that time of year last year was busier for us than it is this year. And that's partially just because I could have pushed it a little harder, but when you have a crazy December like we did, it was like, could use the time. But as far as like pubs, bars, and restaurants, no, there's not as many because first of all, there's not as many bars and pubs.
Yeah. They're having a tougher time now.
Yeah, and it has, a lot of it happened, personally, it's funny. I'm a non-smoker. I don't like the smell of cigarettes. It drives me nuts.
Yep.
But it was a very big part of the bar scene.
100%.
Right? And when they first took cigarettes out of the bar, I watched like 20 places in Ontario just drop. And then when they said you couldn't do it on the patio, it killed it more. And it's weird to say that, but that was a big deal when it came to having that many bars and having live music and stuff, because there was still a good bunch of people that wanted to smoke and had nowhere to do it there. And when you're having people go all the way out to the street or something to have a cigarette, they don't stick around as long. And the other thing is it's funny, the budget at most bars and stuff now is the same as it was in like 1987.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I wasn't playing then, but other guys in the band were doing the same circuits back then. And that was the same pay, except for some of them would be like 5-6 nights a week.
Yeah.
Like a bar would give you a run. And so the whole world is inflated, except for somehow budget for live music hasn't. And I understand it from a business side because the bar industry is a very hard one to be in.
Yep.
And you got to keep your margins.
Exactly.
And when you keep your margins, you spend less. And when you spend less, generally you get less. There are a ton of good bands out there, but probably not as many as there used to be because it's just not worth it for them to do it. A good band of good musicians isn't always going to take $75, $100 each to go play a bar, set up all their equipment, play a show. But a band of like garage band dads, weekend warriors that want to just play 2 shows a year, they'll do it, and they'll do it for whatever. They'll do it for the beer.
Yeah.
And they'll probably pack the joint because it's a bunch of friends that are like, let's go see Jimmy play, and they all come in. The bar thinks it's fantastic. I'm paying $300 for a 4 or 5 piece band to come in and play, and the place is packed, and I made so much money, and I'm gonna hire you guys every other weekend. And what do you mean nobody's coming next week? Because it's you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And one-offs like that are great. But if you hire a bad band, doesn't matter what you're paying them. A bad band will drive business away.
Yeah.
Because of the same things we talked about before, your volume, the sound. There's lots of good bands, great singers. But again, if their sound is bad, it's bad. I wouldn't want to see anybody I love playing if the sound is that bad. Because it's not pleasurable. It's not good. And a lot of bars now, too, expect you to bring in a crowd. And it's like, unless you're like that band who plays there once a year and has all these people that are like, oh, it's time for the annual or biannual yada yada band show.
Yeah.
Let's all go out. We do very well in the area, and even then we'll have nights in town here in Orangeville where it's not that busy.
Yeah.
Because first of all, not that many people have as much money to go out as much as we can.
Exactly, it's the area.
And if we played a couple weeks beforehand, then necessarily got to come out again.
Yeah.
That's what I tell every bar owner I've ever talked to when they ask, how many people do you think you're going to bring out? I used to try and ballpark, I'm sure we'll get this, and hopefully we get this. And now I just tell them, I don't know. I said, how many do you expect to come out tonight? Like, whatever you were expecting, expect that, plus a little bit,
Yeah.
Hopefully we some people are coming out specifically to see us. But it's not our job, in my mind, when you're getting paid what you do in a bar. It's not our job to bring all the business into you. It's our job to keep it there.
Yeah.
Right? A good band will take a table that was only going to be there for dinner and have them stay for 3 rounds of drinks. And then you're covering your cost of your band by the end, pretty much. Like, if you get a few tables that do that, it's worth it. And then you got your rest of your crowd that you're keeping in there. It's part of the ambiance. It's part of the night out.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and you're 100% right on that. Because, I know when I used to go out with people, like whether it was for work or something like that, we'd generally hit up 3 or 4 spots in a night because there was nothing actually keeping us a place. Either like one person would go for a smoke, and it's like, okay, well, here's a good excuse to go to that bar down the street. Because there was nothing there actually keeping us there. Like, might be something if there was like a pool table keeping us there for a little bit. But in Orangeville, we really don't have pool tables. The only thing keeping people at these places really is a band. Like, what else could keep people there other than, the usual what everyone else has?
Yeah.
Like,
or like a karaoke.
That too, which, again, everyone's really getting into because that's relatively low cost because there's no people cost, right?
No, yeah, and it keeps it there. It's nonstop all night. I get the draw of karaoke. I can't handle it most nights.
But it's different.
Yeah, I remember Steve and I think Jeff was there too. We judged a karaoke contest at a bar a few years back. And first of all, I felt like completely unqualified to do it. I'm like, yeah, we're good singers, but what gives us the right to say you're a better singer than that person?
You're Simon Cowell.
Yeah, exactly. And then especially too, because the person who ended up winning was definitely a better singer than all 3 of us.
That's hilarious.
This guy was such a good singer. But I think that's all he does is just go from karaoke contest to karaoke contest and winning these $100 gift cards or $100 and stuff like that. It's like,
it's hilarious.
Killer singer though. And it's funny. It's like they asked you, they're like, do you want to come up and sing a song? We're like, probably not. They're like, you sing this song really well. I'm like, yeah, 3 keys lower than the original. Like, we sing to our voices. We don't think lots of good band players are really bad at karaoke and like Guitar Hero Rock Band. You're used to playing it your way.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to play it the right way or in the right key, especially singing. And but lots of these bands that you're singing their karaoke song, you go see them live and it's lower.
Yeah.
Because they can't sing it that high. It's tough. Yeah, these bars are and these pubs and stuff like that, they have a certain budget in mind. And then a lot of them also expect you to play longer than you used to.
Oh.
Like an industry standard for a live band was forever. And I'm talking forever. It was 3 45-minute sets with either a half an hour or a 45-minute break.
Okay.
That was the standard, 9 till 1 or 10 till 2, 3:45s.
Yeah.
And that was like, without even asking, usually it was like that. And an occasional bar would want you to do like 4:45s and didn't always pay you more for it, but that's another story. But now I find I have to ask every venue because it's different everywhere.
Yeah.
Some places want 2 longer sets, and I think that's great, personally. I actually do think that live music is better when it ends a little earlier in the night, for as far as bars.
Yeah.
Because from like, say, 1 till 2, that's just a drunk hour. Right?
Yeah. You don't need that.
No, and you're not getting much more service out of it because you're either cutting people off or you should be cutting people off.
Yeah.
But they're not there because you're playing music anymore. Although you'll get the few people that are like, yeah, one more.
Yeah.
To me, especially for us, and again, that might be just be getting older and stuff like that. But we prefer it, the meat of the night. I'd rather finish at 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Latest. Sometimes 12.
Yeah.
9 till 12. You cut out a break and you either play 2 long sets or you play 3 sets with really short breaks. But then there's places, I'll say, 3:45s? They're like, yeah, sure, whatever you normally do. But then they'll give me the timeline. And I'm like, well, that's a 5-hour timeline.
Ooh.
I'm like, so are we having like hour-long breaks? Like, no, if you can keep to like 20 minutes. I'm like, but math.
Hi, everyone. This is our last commercial break. Thank you all for listening so far, and I hope you've enjoyed it. To keep up with everything that Dufferin Spotlight is doing, you should follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can find other episodes of Dufferin Spotlight on Business by looking us up on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, in addition to our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Of course, the best way to see all of our stuff is to check out our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If we are not already on your preferred platform, let us know through our website and we'll do our best to get on it. That's it for commercials, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business.
It's amazing how many times I've had that conversation. But I'm like, but no, it should be, like, we'll have to do it this way. Well, no, I don't want the breaks that long. Well, then we should end earlier. But no, just keep your breaks to this. But math.
Seriously.
But again, this also comes down to they can ask for that because there are a bunch of bands that will do whatever to get the work. Because there are just as many good bands, mediocre bands, weekend warriors, bad bands out there that there always has been. Difference is there's 5th of the places to play. And because of that, bands will, there's no specific band I'm talking about. It's just, I know for a fact there are lots of bands that will work for less money than we were already not getting paid.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're still getting paid the same rates as 20, 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Bands are taking less now and working more. Yeah. So they'll come in and they'll work like 45 minutes, or I've heard they'll play almost like 4 hours worth of music over a night. Not straight, but they'll just keep playing.
Yeah.
And it's like, first of all, most of you don't have that much material.
I was thinking that too. That's a lot.
And we have enough to do that for sure, but
a tribute band though.
Tribute bands are different. They have sets, shows, and stuff like that. But I mean, like for these pub bands, you're not bringing out your A material or your B material. You're bringing out a music stand with the lyrics in front of your face, and everybody's looking, and you're just barely making your way through the thing. And again, to me, you're not keeping people in your establishment with bands like that. You're just not. It's sloppy.
That's you saying you did your best, but you never actually did it.
Well, it's just they don't have any more to do, right? When you're asking to be played too long, you're better off putting out your entire A game over a shorter time. And that's just, to me, that's not just music. That should be everything. So I don't understand the thinking. I understand restaurants and bars trying to get their most for their money, but sometimes quantity is not worth it. Quality's better.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. It's like, it's more them saying, like the restaurant owners and the bar owners saying like they're doing everything they can to get people in.
Yeah,
but they're not actually really putting the thought into it or that. Because I mean, there's obviously holes in that theory.
Yeah, I mean, there should be something in your establishment that keeps people there already.
Yeah.
Not just the live music, because obviously if there's nothing else there for them, then why are they going to stick around? But if you want people to continue, that bars make money off of people sitting there, sitting there longer. But again, as we say, these late night things, I don't think you're making a lot of money at the end of the night, because
nobody fresh is coming in.
No, and the people who are, you shouldn't be serving. So.
Yeah. And those people aren't generally going to leave until they want to leave anyways, regardless of the music. If they're already there after, again, 12 or 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, makes complete sense.
And it translates as just as well over to weddings and corporate events. Like not so much the outdoor ones, because usually the outdoor ones you have a time frame. It's like, if the sound, like for Ribfest in Orangeville, we're supposed to be done at 11 o'clock. That's like cut off. And I think we've pushed it to almost 11:30 before. But then we have like town officials like standing on the stage, tapping their foot and pointing at their watch at us. And it's only the fact that there's like 4 or 5,000 people saying one more song that they go, okay. But otherwise, even the corporate, and this is the kind of stuff you learn over the years, is that you say you play a corporate event, you're better off trying to convince them to end it a little earlier, because you can always put music on, right?
Yeah.
My favorite way to do it is if the party ends at, say, 1, you want the live music to end at about midnight.
Yeah.
And then you can always play one extra song. And then you flip it over to DJ iPad, or if there's a DJ at the gig, then he can take over.
Yeah.
Because you can just cut that at any time. And what happens if you end up playing live music till the very end of the night, then all of a sudden you got the staff of the establishment looking at you like, oh, God, we got to get out of here in the next hour.
Yeah.
And you still have to take apart all your equipment and everything. Meanwhile, if you flip over from live music to canned music, like an iPad or something, where if you have a good sound system, you can still keep the party going.
Yep.
But you can start breaking down the rest of it.
Exactly.
And that way you don't have as much to take out at the end of the night. Because again, we could be there for another 2 hours after the thing is done. And sometimes the venue is like, you got to be out in an hour and a half. Like, we got to close the doors. And it's like, well, you can't please everybody.
Yeah.
But you have to adhere to the rules of where you're playing. So
yeah,
you're better off trying to keep the party till, and a wedding can be like that too. You want to get it while the majority of the people are there, and then you can always work with it afterwards. You can keep flexible, but you don't want to be taking too long breaks, and you definitely don't want to shortchange people.
Yeah.
You give them the same amount of music that you would normally do, but you just do it over a shorter span of time so that there's less downtime. A lot of times at a wedding or a corporate thing, it's that second break. If you play, say, 3 45-minute sets, you play your first 2, and the second one is usually like the biggest. It's where the majority of the people are there. The older crowd hasn't quite left yet. The younger crowd aren't so drunk that they can't move yet. And you're better off just playing that longer. Skip the break.
Yeah.
Play into that same amount, but then you're done earlier, and then you can just work with whatever's at the end of the night. But again, you offer these options, and that's where you have to be flexible. But you have to be prepared in advance, because some people will get upset if you're trying to change a schedule. And as you were saying before, some people like a rigid schedule.
Yeah.
Although I find, especially with weddings, the rigid schedules are the ones that always fall behind.
Yeah.
Like almost always. We've played so many weddings, and I can think of like one hand how many have ran on time or early.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then that's also, you can get, it's funny with a wedding, you show up 3 hours beforehand, you do a bunch of work. Sometimes, depending on the load-in situation and whether the specs were covered, you can be finishing your very last sound check, bang, and then the door opens and people are walking in. Like you work from as soon as you get there, you hustle until you're done, because you're trying to get done earlier so that you're done. And then, depending on, I'll offer MC services. We'll offer some basic DJing and stuff like that. Or you offer playing the first dance. But sometimes you're now sitting around for like 3 hours, which sounds like, oh, it's easy. You get food, you get some drinks, and that's great and all. But you have to keep yourself pumped up, because all of a sudden, as soon as that last speech is done, it's like, all right, the Campfire Poets, party. And you're like, I've got a belly full of hot food that for some reason they always give to the band almost last. So it's like you're still finishing your like dessert, walking up to the stage going, all right, now I'm going to jump around and have fun and not pass out.
Yeah.
And then, all right, the party's done. We just played for a few hours and everything's good, sweet. Now we got to tear it all down and load it all up. And then you got to drive home.
Yeah.
So those are long days, but it all comes down to just finding the best package and the best setup for the venue or the event you're playing. And as far as, I guess this all came from the question about places to play and stuff like that, but you have to work with what you got.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, again, and managing all different kinds of crowds.
Yeah, they're not always good. Some of the corporate work can be some of the least satisfying.
Oh, I can imagine.
Sometimes you're just background. And again, if you like the people you're playing with, then you have fun with each other. And by doing that, usually rubs off a little bit on the crowd.
Good.
If you're really working hard on the crowd to be involved and there's not, like, when there's nights where it's like, yeah, okay, we're not going to be able to do our A game here.
Yeah.
Not because of how we can play, because we just don't have that interaction, whether it's the setup or it's the crowd. Sometimes you're just hired and it's not the right fit.
Yep.
But it could be the wrong fit for almost any band. It's just they have it in their head, they want a live band there, and you provide the service. But you again, you roll with the punches and you try. But if you can't link up with the crowd, if you can't really get to them, then you got to play with each other. You got to have fun and you got to work it. And then that way, it might draw off, or at least it'll help get you one or two people to notice. And those might be the people that hire you for a better event the next time.
Exactly. Because, I imagine those corporate events can be quite different from the bar events.
Yeah. I mean, I've played lots of bad bar gigs too, but that same idea, that could be layout, that could be, why'd you hire us to play here when this is a heavy metal bar? Little things that just don't always work out. But
so, what do you think customers should look for when hiring people in your profession?
Well, I mean, it's when you're hiring a band, it should be a fit. Like, you should know. Hopefully, you've seen them. Doesn't always the case. We get some stuff where people see our website or advertised on something, and they hire us on a whim. And we generally do well, but there's been times where it's like you get there and all of a sudden you find out they're all just big, heavy, hard rockers.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, then why did you hire us? Like, our song list is online. There's videos. We do very little of it. Why did you want us? And they're like, can you play this, play that? And it's like, no. And it's not because we don't want to. It's because we physically don't have that genre in us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's occasionally that happens, but when somebody's looking to hire a band, you should look at your song list, try and find any video or audio, go see them play, and take it with a grain of salt where you're going to see them play. If you're going to go see them and play in a bar, they may not be able to have the best sound because it's just not physically possible sometimes. You're not going to bring out a top-of-the-line sound system and stuff into a bar that's paying you the same amount it costs to power the thing up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth it for bands to bring in their top level stuff into some places because it's just too much work for what you're being paid. That being said, you should always try and do a good show. So take that with a grain of salt and talk to them, see what the packages are. I would say if I were to hire somebody, look at a few different people, get quotes. And if one band is quoting way under the norm, there's probably a reason for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're used to paying that, that means they really want the work, and they're probably not that good. But that's just me.
Or they skip on setup or something
like
that.
Something.
Yeah.
Because either that or they just don't understand. They're not valuing their time.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, you want bands that look good, sound good. You got to find the right styles for what you're having, and then go see them. Go see them and talk to them in person. And I mean, and hire us. No, I mean, we have a thing going on too where, I took over booking and stuff of this band about halfway through it. So I'm doing it at least 10 years now or so. Jeff did it beforehand.
Wow.
But I thought about, I like this side of it. I like the business side of it. And I've thought in the past about kind of becoming an agent type of thing and working with some other bands.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, obviously I'm going to pump this band first. So I'm already feel like I'm impartial.
Yeah.
But, especially certain times like in the summer and things like that, where, in a month or two from now, the summer will be full and I'll have like a couple of days left, maybe. So we'll recommend other bands. And I'd almost rather just keep it that way because we're good friends with some other cover bands and stuff like that. And everybody's a little different. Everybody does stuff. So I'll recommend them. I'll throw, if we're booked that date and I can't make a change or anything work, then I'll say, unfortunately, we can't. If it's an annual thing, I'll say, please keep us in mind for next year.
Yeah.
Know that we booked this far in advance. In the meantime, here's a list of, if it's a big band, I have like a list of 3 or 4 bands that I'll recommend. If it's the duo, I have a different list of smaller acts that I'll recommend. And I'm not looking for anything out of it. It's just you're supporting a community, a business, because we don't look at them necessarily as competition. Because, as we said before, most of this work comes from seeing the band live and word of mouth and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't find it, at least I don't know of very often that we're competing for the same jobs. There are some ones. I'm sure there's a few bands that would love to see us not headline Ribfest in Orangeville. But, As long as they keep asking, we're going to keep saying yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I'll always recommend these bands. And if they get a gig out of it, that's great.
Yeah.
Because it works both ways. We've had it where same thing. These same bands will say, we're busy. And then I'll get an email from somebody saying, hey, we were trying to look for a band, and I was talking to this other band, and they said they couldn't, but they recommended you guys. And it works both ways. So, and we have taken a couple of the gigs out of those. So that's great. So to me, I'd rather do it that way than push that side of the business.
Yeah.
Right now. As I get older, I might get into it.
Yeah. Well, things change.
Mm-hmm.
All right, everybody. That's it for this episode of Dufferin Spotlight on Business, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Ryan for taking the time to help us out with our show, and for those of you who listened. Make sure you check back next week for part 2 of this discussion. To see all the great things that the Campfire Poets are up to, including details around the Sick Kids benefit and where you can see them play live next, join their group on Facebook or check out their website, thecampfirepoets.com. If you would like to learn more about the businesses and people that make Dufferin what it is, be sure to check back every Tuesday for new episodes. The easiest way to do this is to follow or subscribe to our show wherever you prefer to listen. We are currently available on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, in addition to Facebook and YouTube. Of course, you can find all of our episodes and more on our website, dufferinspotlight.ca. If there's anywhere else you would like to see us, please let us know through our website and we'll do our best to get on it. If you haven't had a chance to check out our last episode, it's with Kimberly Van Ryn of Branching Out Support Services, a brand new business in town already making a positive impact by creating inclusive opportunities in addition to running a day program for adults with developmental differences. I was lucky enough to meet some of the boss crew, and we spent some time doing some podcast stuff, which was a ton of fun, and I hope I get the opportunity to do it again soon. Be sure to check out Branching Out Support Services' Facebook and Instagram pages to see all the great things they are up to, and how you can get involved in some of the events they put on. Until next time, get to know your community and shop local.